an extraordinary guest joining us, Frederika, a renowned HR executive and leadership coach who has made significant contributions in Canada after transitioning from France. Frederika, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Maria. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Thank you very much. And Frederika, can you start by telling us a bit about your professional journey and how you transitioned from France to becoming an HR executive and leadership coach in Canada?
Oh, wow. How much time do we have? It was not a straight forward path. Well, first of all, Canada is not my first immigration. I actually moved to Ireland for 6 years. Just after my university in France, and then moved to Canada. So I kind of knew a little bit what to expect in terms of immigration and what it would mean being in a different country, in a different language, in a different culture. So that made it a little bit easier. When I was in Ireland, I worked in tech, in the arts. I worked for the Dublin Theatre Festival and with a visual artist, but I also work for big companies like, I'm not dropping big companies like IBM and Microsoft. So very formative years, and I'm very grateful for that time. When I moved to Canada, I first worked in sales, and progressively, sometimes opportunities present themselves and you have the choice to jump on them or to just let them pass by. And I'm more of the jumping kind, being fully bilingual and having French as a first language. Actually did a certificate to become a French teacher, which I had not planned ahead. When I was 18, my dream was not to become a French teacher, but actually it became a dream come true through circumstances of life. And after being a French teacher in the corporate world, I created my own company where I was offering French classes and also French translation. So when I say it was not a straightforward path, that is what I mean, because that was not the end. At one point in my life, I decided that human resources would be a good fit, and a lot of people had told me before that I would be great in the HR field. So I went back to university. It's not easy to go back to university, let's say 15, 20 years after you have your degree. So I had a son who was young. My son, I think, was around 7, and you try to build a career, and then you just decide, you know what, I'm going to put this on hold because I want to better my skills. And that was not the first time I was doing this, so it was quite significant for myself, but also for my family, and also to take that into consideration. And from the moment I got my human resources management straight from SFU, Simon University, I really focused on building a career in human resources. The funny part is that made me a little bit old in so many ways, right? You have a head of HR who has a French accent. That's quite forward thinking. I did not join human resources just after university. So, going through the different roles like HR assistant, HR coordinator, I came in with a toolbox of skills and a full profile already of success, and knowing who I was, what I wanted in my career, why I was doing that, rather than let's see how it goes. I really wanted it and build from that. It's fantastic. I'm able to work with C-suites, with decision makers. I have become a coach as well. So once again, not a straightforward path, but being willing to try things, put myself in uncomfortable situations. I always say it is scary to change paths. It is scary to move countries. It is scary to try new things, but it's not because you're scared that you should let that stop you from doing things. So I'm scared, but not too scared to the point that it prevents me from doing those things. And I decided, I was very intentional. I decided to have a good life in Canada, and I gave myself the opportunity to have that. And the mindset is very, very important. I'm very respectful and in some ways envious of people who they have a clear path in front of them. They want to do this like from a very early age. I was never that kind of person, but it gave me opportunities to meet amazing people and to get to know myself, which was probably the biggest gift of all. Here you go. That's my career path so far, and I still have a good 20, 30 years in front of me, so bring it on.
That is awesome. It's very inspiring. To change careers or to change country, it's definitely very scary, but the most scary thing is to stay where you are and to not move, to not be willing to be successful, to achieve something. So I think it's most scary than trying new things. Like worst case scenario, it will not work out, so you'll need to come back to your home country, or you need to proceed with the road that you had before. It's the worst case. The best thing, it will work out, because I believe with consistency and hard work, everything will work out. Thank you so
much. Agreed. But if I may add, you can be as successful. I do believe that I've met enough people to know that you can be as successful as you allow yourself to be.
Yes, absolutely.
And there are ways to unlock.
I'm totally agree. You mentioned the mental part, and allowing yourself, is the most important thing. Honestly, I do believe in that, so that you have to work on your mental health and you to allow yourself to be successful, to be happy, and to do things. Because when you see then, when you're sad and you think I'm miserable because I didn't achieve this kind of things or this kind of thing, maybe it's not for you. Maybe you have to try new things. Maybe you have to try to be successful in other things and to find yourself in this world. Not many people are finding themselves at an early age. I know just quite a few people who found the things that they would like to be. About me, I never knew who I want to be when I will grow up, and I still don't know. I'm just trying new things in different areas and try to do the best in me and the best that I could achieve. And if I can learn something new, I will always go there and learn new things and try new things, because I never know. Maybe I'll be the best version of myself on this kind of position, on this thing that I do. You never know.
You're right. That is the right approach. Many people, what I've just said about my career path, it probably sounds like, easy peasy. It was a breeze and everything, opportunities were waiting for me at every corner. I was, butterflies were flying around and birds were chirping and everything was fine. It was not. And that is something that we do not speak enough about in our society. We speak about success, we speak about confidence, we speak about, you can catch your dreams, you can achieve everything you want, which I do believe. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean there's not going to be any days where you feel miserable and where you feel like, my goodness, what am I doing? Why did I leave? Or I miss my family, or I miss food. I'm French. I do miss some food, which is normal, right? But it's not because we end up being successful in some way or another that it is easy to do, right? And this is where the mental part really makes a difference. Is that today is not a good day? Well, let's see what tomorrow brings. Let's see where we are and what we can do tomorrow. And it's one step at a time. I didn't wake up one morning just after university and being, I'm going to be a vice president of people and culture. It did not happen like this. I had to work hard at it. I had to meet the right people. I had to put myself in vulnerable situations, in the sense that I had to say, hey, I'm here, I can help. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You have to celebrate when it works, but you have to pick yourself up as well and honor who you are when it doesn't work, because at least you put yourself out there. When I speak with job seekers, being a job seeker is very, very difficult in the sense that you never know when you're going to win, right? And you keep
Yes.
trying. You have your resume, you have your cover letter, you look for positions, you go for interviews. Sometimes you buy an outfit for interviews. Sometimes you just think like, okay, I need a new microphone if the interview is on Zoom. It's a lot of things that are involved. Maybe you already have a job that is not the job you want, therefore you need to take time to have interviews so that you can really fully focus on the interview you're going to have. You know, it is what it is, in the sense that you have to be strong, and you have to be very courageous to do that. And hope that the people who are going to listen to this podcast, and by the way, Maria, I've listened to every episode and they are fantastic. Thank you for doing this. But it's really about giving ourselves a chance to do what we need to do, and to celebrate and to honor the courage and the energy it takes to be looking for a job, or to be moving somewhere, or taking those kind of risks, or even going back to school. It's quite a challenge, and I think we put a lot of emphasis in our society on the success and shiny careers and how amazing people are. But first of all, a job doesn't define who you are. You can be amazing without having the job that you think would make you amazing, because the job doesn't make you amazing. You just showcase how amazing you are. We were already amazing. It's just important for people to celebrate even the tiniest victories, and to accept that today is not a good day. Let me have my pity party. I do have pity parties where I feel sad or miserable for myself, and that's okay. I need to get it out of my system, and then to start with a clearer perspective the following day.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, it resonates with me a lot, because in our society, like, it's honestly, people are not talking a lot about the challenges, about the hard way, what they have, and everybody is saying, I've been always the president of this universe, I've been always successful and always here. But there is a question, and for us as job seekers, like immigrants, we feel miserable, and we think like, I'm not good enough, I will never be there. This person has many things. Like, I do feel miserable sometimes too when I see a lot of people from my network, they posting like, oh, I graduated, I got an MBA, like I graduated from university, and all these kind of things. And I'm on hell this like pity party too. Sometimes I let myself to be miserable, like for a couple of hours, just like watching sad movies, like eating like some pizza, and that is definitely okay. Like, I'm not shy from that. Like, many people are staying away from me because I'm too honest, and like I'm always like asking questions and like telling about the things as it is. Like, mentally, like it's difficult, and when you hear those stories from people who share their challenges and what they've been through, you get some ideas for yourself. Or if you're not getting idea, you just understand that you're not the only one person on this situation. And it's very hard, like for immigrants to not be able to hear those kind of things, and to realize that everything is not that bad. Many immigrants are looking at me and telling that you are so successful, but I'm an immigrant myself. Like, I arrived to Canada 2.5 years ago, like even less. And on April 2022, it's not that much time, but I've been working very hard since day one. Like, even before I came to Canada, like I've been preparing for that. And it took a long time. And I've been a job seeker since I arrived to Canada a couple of times. Even 3 months ago, I've been looking for a job because we went to Calgary for a while with my family. We planned to stay there, but plan has changed and universe brought us back. So I've been looking for a job too, and it wasn't easy. I've been helping people to find the jobs, and like I wasn't able to find a job for months. Like, it was pretty difficult because the process, like, it's not very fast. It's not a couple of days. So it took a while, but I'm happy for that. But
And then thank you for sharing this. On average, it takes a minimum of 6 months to get a job. And that is, I'm an immigrant too. And I think that when we arrive, it's very important to adjust our expectations because we think, yeah, I'm going to Canada. It's such a great country. And it is. It is. I've been here for 20 years. Let me tell you how amazing of a country it is and how amazing the people who are here are, people who were born here, but also people who have made Canada their home. It's a great place to be. The thing is, yes, the job market is quite active and unemployment is very low, and you will be given opportunities that you might not have in your country of origin, but it is not going to happen overnight. And from the people I have helped in the past, I think that what hurts, because they have expectations that do not match the reality, and that reality check can be very painful and heartbreaking and disappointing, and you question yourself, should I be here? Should I stay here? Is it worth it? Well, first of all, yes, it is. And I'm never going to find a job. That's not true. You will find a job and you will be able to build a career. It might not be straightforward, and that is fine. And going back to speaking about the real challenges, actually, we learn the most when things are not going the way we want. That's when we learn about ourselves. That's when we build resilience. That is when we actually can turn to others, and others can teach us a lot of things about ourselves, but also about the environment we're in. So not having things delivered on a silver platter, although that might be what a lot of people wish for, that is not what is going to serve you the most, and it's not going to happen. Let's be honest, it's not going to happen. But there are supporting people around, and the more you speak, the more authentic and vulnerable you are, people are willing to help, right? And we're in Vancouver, and Vancouver is a big city on network, right? It's whom you know, and meeting them at the right time. So if you pretend that everything is okay, I'm in control, first, we're never in control. So let's be honest about that. But the more we can be authentic with ourselves and with others, the easier it is. And when I speak about expectations, maybe it's about that. It's really about adjusting what your expectations were before you left and from the moment you arrive. Yes, it's going to take hard work. Yes, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. Yes, you might have to do a job that might not be what you had planned, or that job might not be at the level you were in your country of origin, but you will be successful. You will be successful. It will happen. It's just about putting in what you can and make sure you do what needs to be done.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that it's exactly that word that job seekers need to hear.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's a reality.
Yeah, thank you. And I do have another question. So you have an extensive background across various sectors such as adult education, finance, arts, entertainment, and technology. And how did these diverse experiences shape your approach to HR and leadership?
Well, first of all, I have to say how grateful I am to the people who I have met along the way, the people who have opened doors for me, the people who have empowered me, the people who gave me a chance, the people who made me laugh when I didn't think there was anything to laugh about, when I was having a bad day, the people who spent time with me, the people who also told me truth, exactly as we are doing right now, the people who listened to me, the people who took the time to teach me as well, the people who mentored me, and also the people who trusted me, bosses I had, but also the people who were part of my team, the people who reported to me, all hopefully made me a better version of myself. I think because I came to a little bit later in my career, and because I have worked in many different industries, it gave me a different perspective in terms of what a good culture is, what a good boss is, what kind of environment I need to feel successful and empowered. I think not coming straight away from an HR university or an HR diploma straight when I was 22, and having the opportunity to explore different industries hopefully made me a better HR practitioner, but also a better leader, because I have been exposed to many different culture, but also many different ways to approach the workspace, right? When I worked in finance, it's very organized. Everything has to be compliant. While in the tech, it can be a little bit more flexible and more fun. And in the arts, you end up spending quality time with extremely creative minds, and very often you just feel it's out of this world. So then it gave me the opportunity to interact with many different people and understand their perspective. So hopefully, as a leader, I can implement that in the way I interact with others, because I can get something different. And working in HR, it's a very privileged position. You have access to decision makers. You get a very strong understanding of company goals. Your HR, so people are just like, ooh. So, it's quite special, but because that is not just what I have done. I come also from the perspective of regular contributors, people who worked in sales, people who worked in marketing, people who worked in accounting and engineering. So that as an HR, I understand better what they need and what the expectations would be from me.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And it's also about transferable skills, and also you don't have to think that like all your background, like in various roles, like it's not useful for those kind of like, for some positions. We are a mix of our experience, of our knowledges and skills. Is the only one thing that nobody can take away from us. Never. It's information that we have. It's experience. It's our knowledges. It's our skills that no matter which country we're going or which planet we're going to, we will take our background with us always. And you never know, because the HR position, like you're a little bit a marketing specialist, you're a little bit sales specialist, and you're a little bit a coach, and you mix everything, because you need to use all your skills what you have, and also using different kind of technology. Be creative person, be patient, be a little bit a counselor, because some people need additional attention, additional explanation, and you need to be very patient. It's if we will start to write the list required to HR professional, it will be like more than 50 points for sure.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, and as a professional recruiter, what are some common challenges immigrant candidates face during the recruitment process, and how can they overcome them?
Okay, that's a big question. That's very important, because I do believe this can be very informative for your listeners. It starts with the resume. And I have worked for many years with job seekers, including future immigrants. On their resume, the first thing that I would say is, do not include any picture on your resume. The resume from maybe in general, there are resumes that do not provide the information I need as a recruiter, right? They provide information that are important to you, the candidate, and I will come back on that. But the first thing is, please do not include your picture on your resume, because in Canada, we have very strict rules in terms of discrimination, and you should not be selected on the way you look. So if I receive a resume with a picture, I have to disqualify it immediately. So therefore, do not do this, and do not include information such as your marital status, your age, your religion. All this is not helping me selecting you for a job. What I need to know is your skills. So those informations like marital status, your age, that kind of information actually forces me to eliminate you from the process. So just don't put it. Focus on your name, a number that is correct, because I get also a lot of phone numbers that are not reachable, your email address, and make sure you apply for the right kind of job. Always, it's important to apply for the job you want, but for the job you're qualified for.
Yes.
Right? And that is a hard truth, right? Your resume should tell me what you're good at, what experience you have done, not what you could potentially do in 5 years. I need to know what you have done so that I can project you in the role I'm trying to fill, that the company needs right now. The company needs a set of skills and experience for a specific role, and you're coming in as a candidate telling me, I have this, I have that, I have that. Great, let's meet. But if I'm looking for a certain set of skills and you come in with amazing skills, but that are not matching what I'm looking for, you're wasting your time and sometimes mine. But I'm not an important part of the equation here. It's just, it's about you, the candidate. So one of the things that I see on resumes is not showcasing enough the skills you have. Sometimes in a work experience, people put a list of things that they have done, right? I don't need a description of your duties. I need to know what you have done that could be useful in the role I'm hiring for, right? So it's not about putting your full list of duties, like open the door for customers, or it's very much about, I created a great experience for customers. I don't need to know that you were preparing coffee for them, that you were, once again, opening doors, and that you replied to emails in a very timely manner. Tell me more than that. Tell me something so that I understand. You know what you were doing. You're just not telling me the right story. You're not sharing the right information. Secondly, I would say a lack of understanding of the market. Right? You need to understand who are the big players, who are the competitors of the company you are applying for. Basically, you need to know the company you're applying for when we actually meet for a conversation once your resume has gone through the filter. You also need to know the city. And by that, I mean any commute that takes more than 1 hour is not sustainable. You are not going to spend 4 hours a day commuting, either driving or in public transport. You're going to do it. You're going to be able to do it for 6 months, maybe. You're not going to do it for 5 years, right? So make sure you apply to the right positions, but also to the right geographical location. Just so that first you save yourself that misery of having to spend 4 hours in commute, and committing to an organization where you're not going to be able to stay there for a long time, because you're going to be exhausted. Unless you can move closer to the organization, you really put hardship on yourself. And as a recruiter, I know that it is not going to be sustainable. So get to know the city you live in. Get to see where the company you're applying to, where is it located? How easy is it to get there? And not many people think about that. You see a job that interests you, go on Google Maps or any other app to see where they are compared to where you live. And another thing is regarding the market. Well, it's is a salary. Every recruiter will ask you, what are your salary expectations? You need to have an answer for that. But that answer has to be matching the market. You need to do your homework. The position you're applying for, what does it pay? What is the range? Nowadays, employers have to include the range on their job description, but they don't always do it. So you have to do your homework. You need to know what this job could pay, not what your worth is, not what you think your worth is, not what you were paid before. As an employer, I don't care what you were being paid before. It's not relevant to what I can pay. But what does the skill set that you have, what does that earn in terms of the value it brings to the company? So when the recruiter asks you, what are your salary expectations? You should be able to say it's between this and that. Don't sell yourself short, but know where you are on the market. If you ask for too much, it's going to be ridiculous. If you ask for too little, it's going to be ridiculous as well. So show that you've done your homework. Another thing, Maria, is not sending a thank you note after an interview. A thank you note, although it's not going to guarantee a job, it will provide a long-lasting impression. People who send a thank you note are going to be more in the recruiter's mind rather than someone who doesn't, right? It's kind of a little reminder, hey, I'm here. It was nice meeting you. By the way, just as a reminder of our conversation, I have that skill, that experience. Boom, you need five lines. That's it. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Job done. And there's another point before the last point is not asking the right questions. When you have an interview, whether it's with the recruiter or with a hiring manager, and they ask, do you have any questions for me? Yes, you do have questions. Always have questions. If you don't have questions, it ends on a very strange note, and it tells me that maybe you're not that interested in that position or in joining our organization. But it's not a time to ask for benefits and vacation days, right? It's a time to ask, about the organization, the impact of the role, why are they hiring for this position, how is the culture. You can ask the recruiter, what do you like about working in this organization, right? Something that will help you better understand either the role or the organization. When someone asks me, yeah, of course I have questions, like what are the benefits and how many vacation days do I get? Well, we're kind of jumping too fast here. I'm happy to tell you about the benefits and the vacation days, but there's so much more to discuss before that it makes you sound a little bit, yeah, it's a job for the money. And yes, we all work for the money, but organizations are also looking for someone who is going to contribute to the success of the organization. Yes, we're going to pay you for the position, but is that going to be meaningful for you? Is it going to be the right place for you? Are you going to like your colleagues? Are we going to offer you a space where you can be yourself or where you can grow? So it's much more than just money. And finally, overconfidence or lack of confidence. Overconfidence, someone who's just going to tell me, yes, I can do this, I've done this. Basically, they have created the universe and I was not aware of it. So they're selling themselves too much, but to the point of sounding false, right? It's just too good to be true sometimes, really overconfident. Or the lack of confidence, right? I know it's intimidating to be in job interviews, but it can be just a conversation where you explain what you have done. Basically, that's what the job interview is. It's you tell your story. You tell what you have done really in relation to the job you're applying for. What? It has to be relevant. So you own that story. It's yours. It's your experience. As a recruiter, I'm not a mind reader. I need you to tell me. So don't be afraid. Nothing is going to go wrong. The universe is going to be fine. You're going to be fine after the interview. Let's make sure that you do everything you can so that it ends up being an offer.
That's amazing answer. Thank you so much. And you mentioned a lot of practical and actionable steps that will be very helpful for the job seekers. And you basically answered on all questions what they have, because the resume, it's an issue. And I always say, for my clients, for people in my network, resume is very important thing, and like you don't start the sentence like I immigrated from this country with my kids, wife, and like with the dog, like it was challenging and all this kind of things, like I've been working as, and then they mentioned many information that you really don't need. You need to learn their story and what they can do for the company, how they can be beneficial for the company for this role. It's the main thing what is important, and it's
Yes, it
great
has
to
to
hear.
be information. Thank you. It's very important that the information you share relevant to the organization and to the position. And I know it can be hard because it's emotionally charged, especially when you have arrived not that long ago, right? You want to tell your story. You want to explain why you're like this. You want to explain what you're going through. The job interview is not that space. Go have coffee with someone, maybe find a coach, go to associations that do help immigrants so that you get it out of your system. And you have to be very intentional when you go to a job interview. You really want to showcase your skills. And I didn't say that, but your resume should be customized for every job you apply to. You should have a clean resume where you have the information that you want to have overall. But each time you apply for a role, you are going to tweak it and really emphasize the information that is relevant to the job you want.
Thank you very much. And speaking about the interviews, can you share some techniques on how candidates can present themselves more confidently and effectively during the interviews?
Yes. Well, first of all, you need to familiarize yourself with a JD, with a job description. We call it JD, job description. Familiarize yourself with the wording, with the priorities, and the skills that are listed. Right? Once again, might surprise you, but it is not about you. It's about the together. And by together, I mean what you bring and what the company needs. Right? So that is why the job description is so important, because that's what the company says their needs are. Right? So usually in a job description, when you have the list of requirements, they are in order of what is the most important for the role, right? So really spend some time reading that job description properly so that you can really project yourself and see, yeah, I've done that. Yeah, I know that. Secondly, really prepare clear examples of what you have done, like to illustrate your skills. It's not enough to say, I'm smart or I'm organized. Okay, well, tell me about it, without me having to ask. I'm well organized. I have a list of things to do. I keep projects on a spreadsheet, and in the past, I have shared my spreadsheet with my team and with the other department we were working with so that it was more efficient and everybody knew where we were all standing so that the project was completed more efficiently. Boom, job done. You have told me that you're well organized and you have illustrated what difference it has made and how it has manifested itself. Then once again, do your homework on the organization. How big is it? Is there any news? Right? You can Google the company and click on news, see if there was a recent announcement. Maybe they have a new CEO. Maybe they have purchased a new office. Maybe there's nothing. Spend time on their website. See, about us. See about us. Like, who is the CEO? What do they do? Who are the competitors? And very important, what are the company values and which one align with you, so that during the interview, I'm saying this, but just for you to notice, your company has a value that says integrity. Well, actually, integrity aligns very well with me because blah, 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 blah. And in a past position, my integrity actually made a difference in that specific example. Boom. As a recruiter, I'm just like, oh my goodness, this person is fantastic. They know our values. They know that they could be a good fit. right? So now you've taken it to the next level. So really spend some time understanding the value of the organization. And finally, do your homework on the interviewer, right? LinkedIn is fantastic. If you know the name of the person you're going to interview with, go have a look at their profile, just so that the information you're going to share with them can be adapted to what they need, right? If you speak with the head of finance, because you're going for a finance position, it's going to be very different than if you speak with the head of marketing, right? And if you work in finance, you might be meeting with the head of marketing as part of the culture fit interview. So it's very important to know whom you're speaking with, because the information they need to know about you will be different. So don't underestimate the power of LinkedIn and on understanding whom you're going to be speaking with.
Thank you so much. It's a great advices, and it's very important to hear feedback, like what to do on the interview, because there's a lot of information everywhere about the interview, but when you hear like those specific things, like not many people are doing their homework, unfortunately, and they don't know any kind of information about the company. And when they go to interview, like it's kind of look awkward, and then HR think like, did you like ever read like what we do and what is like important thing for us? Because like it's great to hear about you, but have you read about us? Have you heard about us? Or like you just don't care where to work? Most of the companies, they are looking for people who will be passionate about this place, who will really care about this place where they are willing to work.
A lot of candidates forget that recruitment is a two-way street. It's not, we always see that, I'm a candidate, I'm going to send my resume, and then they have all the power. No, it's a two-way street. First, you can extract yourself from the recruitment process at any moment. Let's say you feel the interview is weird, that hopefully does not happen, but that maybe the recruiter is rude, or you meet someone, you go to their office and the office doesn't look clean, or whatever your standards are, right? You might just feel like that's not the place I want to work with. And that is okay. Getting a job for getting a job, yes, there are times where you're going to need to make an income, but it doesn't mean you have to go below your standards. If you meet someone during the recruitment process who is waking up your spidey sense, like you don't feel it, like there's something wrong, extract yourself. So it's a two-way street once again. Yes, the organization is assessing your skills to see if you're going to be a good fit. But as a candidate, you are assessing the organization, their culture, what they're going to offer you, the people you're going to be meeting with. And if you are interviewing in an organization and basically you just meet a recruiter and your boss, that's not enough. Because if an offer comes for you, congratulations, by the way, but have you seen the office? Do you know where you're going to be working 8 hours a day if it's on site? Who are your colleagues? Right? How come you have not been given a chance to meet your colleagues? It's not just that, to me, that would be a red flag from an organization, not to be given you enough opportunities to meet with the people you're going to work with. So once again, it's a two-way street. You are not just at the mercy of the employer, right? You can empower yourself and ask the right questions, and not just say yes and take anything that is presented to you. You have to be purposeful about the life you want to build for yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that. And we're gonna skip to another part. So I do have a question. So you are known for empowering leaders and enhancing talent retention and engagement. What are some key strategies you use to achieve this?
There are three strategies, and they are very simple. To me, it's common sense, but also I'm a coach, so I'm used to do three things. And I've been doing this for years. First, I listen carefully to what people say, but also to what they don't say. And I observe the body language as well, right? If someone is crossing their arm, and they're just like, everything is fine. Obviously, everything is not fine. So it's really about listening, once again, with an intention. My intention is to understand. And I ask a lot of questions, even the ones that no one asks or no one dares to ask. I once worked with a client and their Glassdoor score was absolutely terrible. Like really, really bad. The reviews were terrible, really terrible. And so I was speaking with the CEO and I said, so is what is on Glassdoor, is it true? And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, okay, it's Glass. And there was someone there, like I think another C-suite person, and they say, yes, it's true. I say, okay, what are we doing about this? What are we doing about the fact that people are not growing in the organization, that they're not being paid enough, that, people put so much information on Glassdoor, but very few people challenge that. Like, it's on Glassdoor, nobody cares. But it's meaningful information, not always 100% accurate, but it's important to ask the questions that, at least for me in my role, so that I can help them fix what needs to be fixing. Because if you hide things under the rug, you might forget about it, but other people do not. And finally, I challenge the status quo. And by that, I can define myself as a troublemaker, but also a problem solver. I always ask, like, what can we do about this? Or, when I hear, oh no, I can't do that. You can't do that. Why? What did you lock yourself in? Why are you locked in the story you tell yourself? And I use that when I work with C-levels or people managers, but I use that also with anyone I interact with in a professional environment. Right? You can be as successful as you want. Just have to ask the right questions to unlock first your full potential, but also what is stopping you. So that's it. Listening carefully, asking a lot of questions so that I get even more information, and challenging the status quo, which is often through questions as well.
That is awesome advices. And with every guest speaker, I have those moments when I want to write it down, and I have a notebook where I write different kind of quotes, and that's amazing. Thank you very much for sharing that. And you see my eyes is shining.
I do see that.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on your people first approach and how it influenced your leadership style?
Well, for me, the people first approach is based on the principle of supporting everyone to be successful, right? And being successful can mean whatever you want. My definition of successful might be very different from yours, Maria. It might be very different from anyone who is listening to this podcast. We all have our own definition of success, and that definition evolves as well. But people first is the principle that we're going to help everyone working in the organization we're in, be successful. That means caring about people's goals, their needs, their expectations, and their growth. And sometimes what people need is not necessarily what they want. So caring is also about working on that. And it is challenging for both me or any manager who has that approach to tell someone, okay, hold on here, you're not ready for this. But you can say, you're not ready for this, but this is how we're going to prepare you for it, right? It's not about saying no, it's about finding a door to open. And it's also about listening, right? As HR, you need to listen to employees, to management. It's about being curious. It's about also being collaborative. And I do the same with the people who report to me, with my teams, right? I'm what I would call, or what is defined as, a servant leader. What can I do for you? What can I do to help you? And how can I push you in a way that helps you grow, but that doesn't overwhelm you? And that is what a people first approach is really much the focus is on the person, not just on the organization. Of course, we have to keep the organization in that equation, but it's about how can you be the best version of yourself? How can you be empowered? How can you grow? How can you build a career here with us rather than thinking that you need to go somewhere else to be who you really are or to be who you want. So it's very much about being in tune with the people around you. And that means as an HR, employees, my team, but also the senior leadership, because they also want things as a group, but also as individuals.
Thank you so much for sharing. Many people struggle with stepping outside their comfort zones. And what advice do you have for those looking to take that leap in their careers and or personal lives?
Well, discomfort is part of life because life evolves quickly, whether it is for a personal goal or whether it is for a professional goal. The best way to grow is to get out of your comfort zone. And that is actually really the best way to learn. I would say, well, first of all, nobody is comfortable with discomfort. Even the people who do that for a living, sometimes we can make it look easy, but it's not easy. As human beings, we don't like change, or we're not very happy about discomfort. We want comfort. So I would say start small. Start small. One thing that works for me and that has worked in the past is to maybe learn something new. That has nothing to do with work, just so that you become familiar with that feeling of starting from scratch, of not being in control, of not being the expert. One fun way, at least for me, is to learn a language, like learn a new language. You have wonderful apps such as Duolingo, not sponsoring this podcast, but free apps where you can learn a language or you can enroll in a class. It's even more fun. Or you can learn a musical instrument, because this will help you become a little bit more tolerant of the fact that you're not great at it. And that's what discomfort is not being great at something. Like we're just like, no, I don't know how to do this. So that's one small step. I would say check in with your ego. The ego is very powerful even when we think. The ego is not part of that equation. Approaching a situation with the attitude of, I know better, I don't need anyone. I'm going to figure this out on my own. Like, I know, is not going to help you. It's not going to help you because it's going to block you. It's going to prevent you from learning from others, from the situation, from how you feel. Another important part in terms of becoming familiar with discomfort is to accept to be vulnerable. So once you have put your ego to sleep, then you can be vulnerable, right? And that means accepting help from others. And it's so hard. Right? It is hard not to be the expert and not to be in control. And to put ourselves intentionally in that is kind of madness. But that is how you're going to learn, and that is how you're going to gain new skills. That is how you're going to develop self-awareness. Because how are you going to react to this? Are you going to get angry? Are you going to get frustrated? Are you? Some people cry when they're not in control. Are you going to get physically sick? Or are you going to have those butterflies in your stomach about, oh, it's something new, I'm a bit scared of it, but it's still something exciting, right? And as you become more and more comfortable with not knowing it all and not being the expert, you can take on new projects. You can volunteer at work to take on new projects, right? And I would say ask yourself the following question, and they're not necessarily easy to answer, but what are you intimidated by? What kind of task in what you're doing already is kind of intimidating, or you feel you're not mastering? That could be an area for you to practice your becoming comfortable with discomfort. What skills don't you have yet? And you hear the yet, right? Because you can work on developing those, but you will likely need to start from scratch. What tools do you need or that are available to you are you not fully mastering? Maybe you can spend some time on those, or maybe you could find a tutorial online, or maybe you can ask a colleague like, oh, look, I don't know that function. Could you show me? you will be surprised to see how eager people are to help. So that's one way. Those are small steps, but you can learn more. Maybe you're worried about public speaking, right? Well, how about trying to first present a project to your team or to your friends, to your family, like, kind of a safe environment where if you get it wrong, if you stumble upon your words, it's not going to be a big deal. And once you've done that, even if you stumbled on your words, well, you know what word you stumbled upon. So maybe you can avoid those words, or you can practice pronouncing those words. And then you can go to the bigger circle, right? So let's say you presented an idea to your team. Now, how about to the entire department, not just your team, but other teams as well? So still the same expertise, but you are presenting it in front of a bigger crowd, step by step. You might be then presenting in front of the organization. Maybe you're going to be going to a trade show and be meeting clients. Maybe you can be a guest speaker at a panel. Maybe you can be part of presenting results from your department at a board meeting. There's only the limits that you give yourself. And hopefully your manager is accommodating as well and supporting. And I hope they are. Just go from that, right? It's really, you have to go at it step by step. You're not going to go and give, if you are worried or scared of public speaking, you're not going to go and speak in front of 300 people tomorrow morning. That would be pure madness and torture. But you can start small. Maybe you can present to, you can go, I don't know, maybe to your kids' school and give a presentation about what you do, or about your country, about the food you like, about your language, about, there's so many opportunities. It's just, we don't create them enough. But you can, because now you know.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much. And finally, what is the one piece of advice you would give to our listeners who are looking to build a successful career and life in a new country?
I would say be curious, be open-minded, in the sense that ask questions, be inquisitive. There's no silly questions. When we arrived in Vancouver, I came here with my husband, and we had never been to Vancouver, either of us. And in Vancouver, we have those shops called IGA. They're just shops where you can do your grocery shopping. They sell vegetables and food. And because we had not interacted enough with Canadians and locals upon arriving, like I think 2 weeks, 1 month when I started working, I was speaking with colleagues and I said, I'm going to go and grab lunch at IGA, because I didn't know that you would say IGA. There's no period between the letters. And my colleagues looked at me eyes and they said, where? And I said, IGA. And they're just like, oh, you mean IGA? Say, oh, that's how you say it. Yes. Okay, so we all laughed because it was funny. To these days, we've been here for 20 years. My husband and I, we call it IGA, just between the two of us, because it reminds us of those moments when we arrived and to see how far we have come 20 years later. But it's really about putting yourself out there and ask questions and not lock yourself in the story you tell yourself about yourself. I told you that I would go back to this. When we define who we are, it's always based on what we have done, what we value. And when we go to another country or even a different city, even in our own country, right? You move to a city, you're going to be with different people. You're going to have a different job. You are going to be in a different location, different street names and all that. So it's going to be challenging, and might saying that, I was great where I'm coming from and I'm going to be exactly the same. Well, as human beings, our biggest strength is our ability to adapt, right? So if you have a new job with new people and you do not evolve or adapt, if you keep telling yourself, yes, like, I'm a sales manager and I'm someone from France and that's what I do. That's a box you have locked yourself in. Well, if you stay open and you stop defining yourself as sales manager from France, then you can be whatever you want. And that might seem like, yeah, I can be whatever I want, right? I can be queen of the world if I want. Absolutely, you can. But what I mean by that is that you don't have to just be what you were yesterday or 6 months ago. You can evolve and not define yourself in a way that is limiting, but you can define yourself as, you know what, I'm someone who's eager to get to know this city. I'm someone who wants to contribute to a great organization, so that you are opening the doors to opportunities rather than locking yourself in a box. That is it worth keeping that box? That is the right question, right? Is it worth keeping that box? Because why do you want to stay in the box if you decided to go somewhere else? Doesn't make sense. You wanted to stay in the same box. You should have stayed where you were, in the term that it would have been more comfortable staying there. Well, once you open the box, you open the door to opportunities and to meeting new people, into maybe finding a job that might be in a different field, that might not be exactly what you want, but that will put you in the right place so that you can grow and that you can learn what you need to know for the next step in your career. That is going to maybe help you connect with people you need. And sometimes we meet people and colleagues become our best friends, or you might meet your significant one, although I'm not advocating for that as HR, keep things clean. But sometimes you might meet a great leader, a great mentor. Either they will help you, or maybe you're the right person for them. Maybe they need you in their life. So if you lock yourself in a box, are just a salesperson and a French person, then that's it. You're missing out on everything else. So that would be my advice. It's stay open, stay open-minded, be curious, and be curious about yourself as well. Let go of that old coat that you were wearing. Vancouver is a great city. Get rid of the coat and see what you need to wear now for the weather we have here, not the bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. Comparing to different parts of Canada, it's the best. It's always. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and experiences with us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Maria. And once again, I want to applaud you for what you're doing and the difference you make in people's life. And I feel very honored to have been your guest today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much for our listeners for tuning into the WorkLifeCompass episode. Don't forget to connect with Frederika on LinkedIn for more insights and support. And until next time, stay positive and keep striving towards your dreams. It was Maria El Said on WorkLifeCompass.